Or Monday, April 14th. Pledge allegiance
to the flag to the republic which stands one nation indivisible.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dave. I'm AJ. Dave is today, so I get to do one. Additions, deletion, approval of the agenda. One amendment. I was absent.
Yeah, that will go under number 2.
That's deletions. Yeah. Call for motion. Second. All in favor? Any public input for items on the agenda? None. Move on. 2, consent agenda. Approved regular board for March 10th. I have one correction. I was absent. So. It was a board meeting, not a board meeting. So that. Yeah. I missed it. I was sad. I missed the board meeting. Can I call for motions as all in favor? That's the patient. Thank you. Reports. Moment. Right?
Yep. We need to do
Oh.
the 3.07.
I'm sorry. 3.07 presentation.
That was me.
Hey.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me back. Becky and I were going to tackle this together, but she's home ill, so you get me. And Adam has a presentation that's coming up here for a minute. So one of the Soup with the Supers, we talked about our alternative work center, previously called the Reset Station, if anybody is familiar, and kind of how this became a talking point in the community is, do our families know how we use this area? So between Becky, myself, and then Tina Wyatt, who is the student support specialist who's in that, we kind of collect data and student needs and evolve it as necessary. Adam, go ahead. So our goals are to provide an alternative workspace for students in need. Can you guys? Oh, that probably moves the whole camera, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Okay,
okay sorry, guys.
We're not shooting camera right now.
Anyways, if you need a quiet workspace, somewhere to come and maybe make an anonymous report about something. Perfect. Thank you. Provide any adult support of co-regulations of maybe some big emotions. We might need to tap in a counselor, private meeting in my office, Miss Armisted's office, or to do some restorative conversations with peer-on-peer conflict, peer and adult conflict. We'll organize all of that through this space. And it's one space to implement accommodations in accordance with either an IEP or a 504. Go ahead, Adam. So the main uses are behavioral support, including either removal from a classroom environment for disruptive behavior. We do host our lunch detentions in there during the lunch times when students aren't trying to access it for work. We do athletic study hall from 3:30 to 4 for students. And if we have any closed closets needs, that's a one-stop shop. They can come in, express needs, and we will direct students and or families where they need to go from there. And then any additional support as they arise, Tina can take a quick intake of it and then tap in the necessary support. So it's as much of an idea as it is an actual space. So one of the things that people are having a hard time understanding is if somebody's in there for emotional regulation, but somebody's trying to take a test quietly, what do we do? It's a real quick triage center, and we can separate those two needs out with the other spaces we have in the building and the other professionals we have in the building. But it is a hub for monitoring student needs. Other spaces that can do similar things. Ms. Stallard's actually here, her resource room for students on IEPs. The library has tables kids can break out to. My office has a nice working round table we can sit and conference at, or Miss Armistead's office at the front office. Okay, so data, this is really my job. What we look at in there and what I come back and report to Miss Armistead or at our admin meetings when we're talking about what we need to do to help keep students productively engaged in school and or mitigate any behavioral concerns we have is we look at a lot of data. So referrals, we look at by the student and by staff, which staff are writing them up. Are there areas? It might be a bunch out of playground, PE, unstructured class times, like science labs, so we can kind of even see data, the nature of when they come in, not just student specific, but also staff specific. We can look for targeted interventions like behavior contracts, where we call parents in, we sit down and we explain our need for the student to sit quietly and productively in a classroom so that all students can learn. And what our board policy says is our expectations for student learning. It'll list what interventions we've tried, what interventions are sort of left, and we look for our partner and student to or the parent and student to partner with us in trying to mitigate some of the more repetitive or disruptive behaviors that impact other students and their ability to learn. And then we look at attendance, specifically on time to class reports. So what does this data show us? So last year we have to pull state reports. We had 899 process referrals through the AWC. So those are times where a staff member, teacher, classified staff, or whatever, wrote up some sort of behavioral incident that we either provided consultation and guidance on, potentially lunch detention, maybe had to temporarily remove from an activity or class so that the teacher and staff could continue on with their learning targets. So 899 is job security. And then we also look at total period tardies. And in the first semester of this year, as you can see, first period is our hardest. It's hard to be punitive for 5th through 8th grade because they rely on parent transportation. And most times that is more of a family concern than a student concern. But as we get into the other periods where the student just has 5 minutes of transition from class to class, we start to look at why are these kids late? Because every time it's late, it's disruptive learning to the teacher, right? They're trying to get their class up and going. And then they get to rewind, go backwards, and catch up students. Or pause and delay waiting for all students to be actively ready to learn. So you can kind of see the numbers. It increases in the afternoon. A lot of that's also, they're kids. The longer the day goes, the harder their time management goes. So it doesn't say anything more than what we probably already understand. But what I do is I pull these reports Monday for the week previous, and we look at reports. Our expectation is students can get to class on time if they got 3 or more tardies in the same period or 4 tardies over a week. We should be having a conversation because we are now regularly not getting to class on time to start learning. Thank you, Adam. So what does this all show us? We can also look at data. So this is through Friday, the 24-25 school year, from this first day of school through Friday. 5th grade attended 91.2% average attendance. 6th grade, it drops a little to 88.49. 7th grade is 90.41, and then 8th grade's at 87.53. So we look at these 2 grades, 6th and 8th, because they fall just slightly under what the state goal, ODE's goal, is no student misses more than 10%. This has been one of the sickest winters ever. So these numbers don't surprise me. I think last year we ended with every grade hovering slightly above the 90 percentile. So we were within that range that ODE claims is acceptable to not experience too much learning regression or loss. So what does this look like for us? Well, this is our behavior report that staff members will fill out. If they need to write up a student or remove a student for any reason, these would normally have check boxes. I could not get them to transfer over, so they're gone. But did you try things within the classroom first? That's our first line of defense that we have implemented this year, looking at data from previous years and early fall. How many times did you change your seat? Did you give verbal redirects? Did you put them on their accommodated work plan? That's especially important if they're on an IDP or a 504. Did they consider that as maybe the reason a student was maybe disruptive? Or reduction of work expectations? Some kids have that in the plan. Have they communicated with parent before I'm knowing about it? So I know if there's been contact. Have they done frequent checks for understanding or put the student in proximity to adult support for assistance? Any breaks within the classroom? Did they have a one-on-one conversation? And then we get to the point where maybe they need an alternative workspace. Maybe it's just a break, and then they can give me a few little notes. If we process it, if it's more than just I need a few minutes to come out of class and get myself together, we will be able to put this in their behavior file report, and we will enter it in Tyler Sys, which is our system. And we have an email that will go to parents. Next slide. So we do communicate for every process referral. Minor behaviors get this email where we will go through and we will highlight what the behavior was, what the offense resulted in disciplinary action. Was it guidance or consultation on expectations? Was it a loss of break? Was it a lunch attention, removal from an activity or a class, or ISS due to repetitive nature? Now, we will only send this email for the minor behaviors. Major behaviors get phone calls. So you don't see a lot of the major ones listed on here because that would not be something I would ask Tina to process and send out. On the bottom of it, it does ask them to contact me if they have further questions, but usually what we want this to do is spark a conversation at home. Hey, Joey, you had a tough day today. I see that you were removed from class. Talk to me about it. And then hopefully we get some support at home and or it leads to a further conversation with all of us. Thank you, Adam. And then after school, we do look for athletic study hall time until 4 p.m. when practices start. Instead of having kids just hang out and waste that time, any student with a D or an F will be required to attend athletic study hall if they are in a school sport. Now, 5th grade, 6th grade, and even soccer and stuff of 7th grade and 8th grade are community sports. We have no tie into that, but if they play a school-sponsored sport, this is a requirement of their athletic code of conduct. So they come in, they can check in the AWC, either stay there and work or break out from there and go work with the teacher that maybe they need extra support in. Make up tests, get missing work turned in and graded, and so forth. We pull those every Monday, and then they're in athletic study hall until we can see those grades are up or for the week until we do another grade check the following week. As I said at the beginning of this, we're continuing to learn and kind of grow as we figure out what our students' needs are. The students kind of dictate how that space is needed based off what their needs are day to day. So it's really flexible space that is hard to put a hard definition to. But yeah, it's basically for student supports and wraparound services we can connect them to from there. So if you guys have any questions, I'd be able to answer them. Yeah.
So you mentioned at the beginning, you guys will like pull data on like why certain students or certain reasons. Does that ever go like the way, like, let's say like a staff member is getting disproportionate referrals at AWC?
Absolutely.
Coaching, like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so it'll spark a conversation. Usually I'll take that to Ms. Armistead because when I do things on the student side, she mentors and develops staff. So we'll look at the data. Her and I will meet. We'll talk about it. With that, we usually have some really good students input about, man, this staff member removed you from this activity or this class or wrote you up for this. What's going on? And then that's information that we can share with Ms. Armistead as well. And if we look, others will do a lot of restorative conversations between maybe a student and a staff member. Sometimes it's just a misunderstanding, like, hey, when I say this, I mean this. Student feels this, so then they stop working or get disruptive. Sometimes we look for extra needs for support. Sometimes it means shifting aides around and figuring out where we can provide extra support. I get invited in sometimes to talk to different groups with my man. This teacher keeps writing up 5th period. I need to go visit 5th period. And then we'll have a talk. I just did that in PE recently. In competitive sports, aggression comes out and sometimes behavior declines. So once we see a broad enough picture of that, it's okay, this is now whole group discussions about how we participate in PE in a proactive manner. And sometimes it just goes to Miss A with a private conversation with the staff member. Or sometimes it's training. We get a lot of new classified staff year to year, and recess is more of an unstructured time and space for students. So sometimes we just need to look at our rules again, look at reinforcing those rules through our morning announcements to students. So it drives a lot of those announcements that we see on these referrals, like, hey, kids on the playground. We said no football, doesn't mean you can take a different ball, play football and have the same fights. A ball is a ball is a ball, no matter the shape. So yeah, sometimes it'll drive those conversations. But if it's specific, like one staff member, then Miss A will generally take over from there. Any other?
Do you have any tutors in place for that half hour after school?
Yeah, so I'm usually there. We usually have Kathy Seamer, our librarian, and then Tina Wyant's in there. So we'll do a small group, but sometimes, like right now, track doesn't start till 4 and all the kids are waiting for 2 staff members from this building to transfer to that building. They're hanging out, and we had a couple come in and help a girl with math problems today.
Teachers are also accessible during that time,
Yeah.
according to their contract. They are contracted till 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so that's always usually best case scenario. And a lot of times grades stay low because they need to make up a test or correct a test. And only usually a teacher can do that with them. Because a lot of grade books, the assessments are worth more than the practice work. So a lot of that time will be spent saying, you know, this grade's really not going to improve. So you go fix this score or make up what you were absent from. And that's got to be done with the teacher. Anyone else?
Thank you for doing your job. I wish I had someone. in School.
It's actually fun. Thank you.
Keeping tabs on.
Thank you, Adam.
I would-
Thank you.
You might want to fix this here. Okay.
4.01 enrollment.
So if you look at their enrollment sheet, you'll see the fluctuation from September to now. But elementary isn't, we usually don't have in and out that much. So elementary is a +9 if you look at where we were in September and where we are right now. Middle school and high school, we always see the transient, like families have moved. We have a lot of families that move out of district or moved across the state or elsewhere, countries even. So I think the numbers in middle school and high school, even though they're a little higher this year, that's the typical piece. We also have kids that try in the beginning of the school year that come in and the rigor and expectations are higher than what they want to do. So then they'll usually transfer to Winter Lakes, stay there for a while, maybe not get online. Coquille is tougher this year to where they have to be making, interactions on the online. So sometimes they'll get dropped after 10 days if they're not doing anything. So then they come back here and they don't stay very long and then they leave again. So there's a lot of those kinds of back and forth, middle school and high school. Middle schoolers that online Winter Lakes to do that piece of it. So that's what I see in the fluctuation. If you look at transfer in and transfer out, they're pretty stable. Same numbers. Our homeschool numbers, you can see that they jumped if you looked from September to April, but if you look at the actual big jump came in December and January. Those were the big jump kind of months. And that's usually like a lot of the kids under homeschool, when I looked at the homeschool list, we've never had them. Like they've never been enrolled in our school. So those are pieces that, or they move here, and we have had some families that start automatically with homeschooling instead of being in our school because that's what they did previously. So those are those pieces. Do you have any questions on the report? Okay, at a glance. Have questions here?
Good question. Go.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Are there students that are like, how flexible is it as far as like hybrid between like homeschool and enrolled?
So the things that we can offer is like the electives
Right.
or the sports.
Do people actually use that?
We've had band before. We've band and choir
Oh, yeah.
and sports. I mean, all they do. They just don't do core classes. They'll just do the electives.
Or the other people.
Right.
Is there a percentage in that situation where we have a student by the homeschool?
I think we get like a 0.2 of a 1.0. So because they're enrolled in one period, And mostly it's high school more than middle school, but it doesn't really add up to make a huge difference for us. And we don't get any credit for them to do sports, only if they're doing band or an actual class, elective class.
Board report, see a lot of professional development, which I love and appreciate. The fact that you guys are not staying stagnant. You guys are always training, always going out, always looking for more. You guys just came back from, well, Pace.
Yeah.
That sounds riveting. But,
Sometimes you be like, didn't see that, I didn't see that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lots of things that they want us to do with our old buildings, like the ADA stuff, is we're like, so you just, infrastructure, you can't change the infrastructure, right? The doors are the size that they are, we would to remodel some of the doors. We would have, yeah, when we new schools, so it's like some of the times we're like, "Ugh," but we've had our whole buildings, all of our buildings checked, things that they put on there. Well, you know, kind of structure, the year of the structure and things like that. Doesn't mean that we can't open some of the spaces, like if you remember, we built the behind the middle school gym, we put that slab in to make sure that the wheelchairs can come in through that way instead of just in the front.
Don't get me started about what's under the grade school. It's
we don't have that.
Sure.
Speaking of buildings, things are moving and shaking over in your neck of the woods. This is all your neck of the woods, but we got a mud pit that's starting to dry out a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, so they obviously redesigned the bus barn building. Not redesigned it, it's the same thing, but they had to move it 60 feet. And so that there's some bill brought in, as we talked about last time. So that took a little bit of re-engineering. So that's through. It's at the city and county right now. They got to get their official stamp on it again, just so it's recorded that way. Everything is in the right thing, so in the right places. And so as soon as that's done, we can kick off again. Johnson Rock is scheduled to come in, hopefully with some bill stuff for the next, if we can get through the city, which we're hoping we're doing. It's just that they said when we talked to the city, there would just be a standard.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. Doesn't
Problem.
seem
It's not great, but we're
Related facilities question, so there are on there around, sounds like there's some water. Gym, is that your place?
yeah, so a new floor, yeah, so we've already mitigated that on also. Yep. So on that one storm we had a couple month or so ago, when everything got flooded over and everybody, so we got a little bit of water came down the ramp. There's a lot of hardscape there. So went between the floor and the concrete on the in the gym. So it's kind of a suspended floor. We got in there, bubbled it. Insurance Pace had 4 other buildings here in Oregon that they're doing the exact same thing, and they said we could dry it out, but because of the age of the floor, we're on the last sanding. Essentially, last time we sanded it and painted it, they said this is it. And so because it's so thin, drying it out, you're gonna have some buckling maybe forever. And so essentially what Pace came up with, it was a 10-minute conversation, the best insurance conversation I've ever had. He says, yeah, instead of throwing $80,000 to try to dry it out, we're just gonna do the $250,000 to $300,000 to do it. We'll never touch again, and then mitigate the take care of the problem that caused it in the first place, which is just the water running and just over the drains. We had 2 to 3 inches an hour dropping. So orange drain doesn't do much. Yep.
I did, saw the bulletin that came out on that. Thank you for saying that, that's great. I guess the question I had at first is, kids are caught anything, like what's the
So the board policy conforms to code of conduct. The board policy that governs that is JSCI, which lists anything between suspension to removal of extracurricular activities, discipline from suspension to expulsion. We don't go that far. Unfortunately, the kids who have ready access to vapes, whether it's nicotine or THC, The ones that are very honest with us, we connect them with our mental health professionals. Some of them have outright said, I've been doing this so long, I'm addicted. So the ones that are willing, the parents consent, we connect them with the mental health practitioners. This year to date, we've had 5 occurrences, 3 nicotine, 2 THC. I credit the deterrence in the building to the vapor sensor, the vape sensors that have got the grant for. They will immediately notify the camera. So once it hits, the camera's on, and so we can figure it out. The kids know that. I'm not saying they're not bringing them, they're just not bringing them in the building. So I'm going to chalk that up as a win. Unfortunately, it is an issue in the city. Where
The 5 is just VHS or is?
just people just.
Okay.
4, I believe this year, 1 is a duplicate. No, make that 5. Sorry, there's 5, but 1's a duplicate. So 4 different students impacted.
The severity
All of ours are nicotine so far.
on the flavor of nicotine, do they get?
Whichever one's easy to snatch.
Okay.
Whatever.
I think some of the important stats to that is talking to some of those younger ones, they've been doing it since 3rd grade.
Yeah, that's what we've learned a lot this year, and we've shared it with local law enforcement, that students are reporting addiction by 6th grade, 7th grade. I've been doing it for years.
Can't even blame COVID on that.
No, it's just easy access. I mean,
So one thing.
you grab it, say you have a parent who does it, they walk out of a room, you can be done and no smell, no anything, and never get off the couch. Like, you don't have to sneak it that hard. So the addiction is starting young. And we do call parents in and we discuss it with them. Most parents seem to be somewhat aware. Or mostly aware, yeah. That we've chatted with, and yeah, it is hard to catch. We have to have reasonable suspicion, and then we have to have an easy way. If they really don't want to show, we don't pat down people. You know, we're like, will you please empty your pockets for us? Will you please step out your backpack? We can do a locker search clearly, but they know where we're looking, so they also know how to get
You
our.
guys
Each of them have the same sensors.
Not for the cameras, we have bathroom. Bathroom.
So like if they vape in the bathroom, it goes off.
Theoretically, yeah. They also know how to blow it down and diffuse
Right,
it through
right,
their sweatshirts and other things, so it doesn't create a big puff of smoke. Whatever technology we come up with, they come up with it quicker one.
All I remember was chewing the.
And there are working pins and highlighters that are vapes, and they will write in it class. They are vapes.
Thick drives, that'll be vapes that, we have to receive ongoing pressure development to know what we're looking for. So like the conference Jim and I just went to, they were showing us the latest iteration of how kids are hiding in plain sight.
My secondary question on this is more like the education and intervention side of things is, remember the past meeting discussion, no curriculum. But imagine something like vapes that might incorporate this, but for the absence of shooting is free. Education or discussion is not formal for business materials, is that?
Yeah, so Mr. Sammons incorporates that into his drug, alcohol, tobacco, because it's just another method of delivering whether the nicotine or the THC or whatever the drug of choice might be. So he does incorporate that in there. He's very good at it. The kids relate to him, not just because he's a coach, it's just his teaching style. And so he incorporates all the newest, the latest trends or fads in addiction, unfortunately.
That announcement that prompted this, did you go to that link that shows the brain? Okay, so there's a couple of videos on there, and I know for our student who was a repeat offender, we had him watch those while he was in ISS, so that he can learn about the impacts it has on the developing brain for teens and preteens. So it's something we've started at the middle school.
No, Amanda,
She's gonna stay.
what's she gonna say? Okay.
She's gonna have to try to put it.
Thank you all for your leadership that you're doing with the kids that interact and the
You're all-
all that. Amanda, how'd your audit go? You have a bunch of findings?
Got it done. Zero findings.
Zero findings. Thank you for doing it. Y'all keep doing your job so
So
well.
we got unqualified.
Well, we had the president or what they call, qualified because, yeah. The board chose not to go. So we're solving. That portion. But, again, which. So that portion was the college.
Action items, 5.01, bills. These bills.
We pay the bills in the amount of $331,691.29.
All in favor? Pay some bills. 5.02. Request to attend spring board. Student council conference. Let's hear it.
A wonderful opportunity for our students and leaders to engage peers from across the state and experience
see. Working on this public speaking skills.
This year is Harper Life's third year participating in OAS, and we attended last year's conference, which provided our students with many valuable ideas and experiences.
So what are some of the things that we have done this year to raise money to go?
We've made like gold rush baskets.
We participated in Gold Rush this year.
We did like crushes and we sold them at our school for like money. Like you would get like
Or-
a soda.
What was it for?
$1.
What was the big one at Christmas?
We like sold like wreaths and like other like Christmas stuff for like,
For like your house.
So that was our big fundraiser, and we made over $1,500.
Oh, and
then
then
the
the
snack
shack.
And
It's really good too.
yeah, and I'd say we have 15 students that are in leadership this year, and we kind of make the conference. You have to be in 7th grade. These were the students plus one more that will be.
Who's the one more? Say
So we guys have the funds.
We've raised it all. So
Awesome.
all 3 years, we have never asked for any of the district to pay. We've raised it all for them.
we are eager to continue offering our students opportunities to grow as leaders and to learn from others.
This conference is a fantastic opportunity for their development. Thank you for considering our request.
Take it away.
Sincerely, Megan Sallard.
You don't need to. There's this idea for you guys to talk about. And that's where we're going to No one, none of this. So I had, I lied. Had a different.
I lied.
But yeah, not with us.
Not with
Not
us.
with us.
How many
And then, so
events
this year
she
too,
said?
we're gonna try, because we've done so well with fundraising, we're going to leave a little earlier and do a little bit of an experience going up and kind of like hit it before and do the wax museum and then do Tillamook and do the aquarium. So
corn
kind of
dog,
just
right?
a little bit of a trip too before we get up there. What did you say?
Corn dog.
Yeah, corn.
Can I get a motion?
I said,
Favor, discussions?
Approved.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Five point three, the program plan.
Our document that you all have, so we are just kind of finalizing the application process for our integrated program, which in the past has been several different grants, all separated. We've had to do the application for all of them, the recording for all of them. It was kind of a lot. So over the past couple of years, ODE has created something called integrated programs, which is kind of just putting it all together in one. So trying to make it easier. Yes, not one grant. One site. The site would be it's pretty smart. But so yeah, one area where we can go in and show the grants separately. And one area. But the process is held required all of their questions. So this first page that you have here kind of summarizes a lot of the questions that we had to answer and submit. So if there are questions on that, answer anything, but this goes over the overview of our plan, the vision, areas of areas of growth. CPE is a big portion of our plan. Or do our high school success plan. And then we look at the longitudinal performance growth targets to kind of measure where we are and how progressing. The second page is the estimated allocations. So really would be the first one, and we get for each year 25, 26, and then 26, 27. We get those announced each year. The second one says school success. The third one is student investment accounts. IS is not on here, but we do have one more additional one. It's early indicator and intervention. Here for that, and that would be a portion of the favorite portion of our video.
The literacy grant is predominantly K-3. Usually a little bit more than fifth, but it's big. The high school success is a lot where our CTE program expenses come out of, and then the SIA is a K-12 program, and so this is how our mental health, part of our mental health counselors are paid for, our nurse, our behavior interventionists in each the middle school and the elementary, and then also the counselor here at this building is paid for, the academic counselor. We also the part of what we have to do is we have to show, it's not like we can just, and all three buildings PE teachers, so we have to show a well-rounded, well-balanced initiative within the district. So to be able to do that, we can't just say these salaries would go to all the first grade teachers, or these salaries. We actually have to have a plan. We have to show. That's why the behavior interventionists in the buildings are so important, because they grab the data that helps support some of these longitudinal goals that we had to do, and then those are pieces. And they get, I think they add a little bit more each year. Like literacy wasn't a part of this, and now it is a part of this. And so there's actually 9 actual programs that are part of this. We just don't get funded. We aren't funded in all 9. So we're only funded in 4 of them. And so that's the way that we get the extra teachers, because when the state gives us our state funding, it's only for so many. And so all the extra teachers that we have through this are addition to. So if this funding wasn't here, wouldn't be able to fund those programs or those teachers or the nursing or the mental health counselors. So it shows the well-roundedness of how we're trying to promote education to the next level within our district by using these funds, but we have to show data to prove that we're actually using the money correctly. So SIA in particular is really important because it asks you to choose an initiative within your district. And of course it was right after COVID, so it was kind of an easy initiative. But as we built on that, I mean, watch like Mariah's, suicidal referrals within buildings, having the mental health counselors has gone down, so we have that data, we have the behavior data for referrals and the interventions with that piece of it. We have nurse referrals, so that piece of it, so we have the data in the places that they want it to where we couldn't just say this is money that we could spend on certain teachers without showing that big round wellness piece of it. So it's kind of getting, and Amanda and Sabrina did the 99% of the work on this year, which was so nice to not have to do it. But all the admin team actually worked on the longitudinal goals and the data and the support of that. We actually met in the warehouse. It was what, two and a half hours that we put it all together and told from each admin different ideas or assigned different homework to each one of them, and they came together and put the plan together, marked where we were, because we had to show improvement in the areas, and if we didn't, then we had to write reasons why we didn't show improvement. So it's kind of a complex piece that you couldn't just use anything that wouldn't give us data.
Oh yeah, the third page is the budget, budgets on our preliminary allocations here. The purple part is the 25-26 year, and then green section is the 26-27 fiscal year. It's pretty similar actually to what we have this year as far as all the initiatives that are on there. They're essentially the same as last year. And then the third section, this is just something that OUD asks us to do in the event that they give us extra money. But just in case there is a little bit of extra at some point when they do budget adjustment, they asked us to put together something they call here.
It's like a wish list.
Exactly, yeah. And so I'll talk, well, we would like to fund the same initiatives, just more. We don't have, a lot of the teachers that are on here and staff are not fully funded, so we just added a little bit more to basically the same exact product. So this is just something that, they like to have on hand and the board take a look at it and
So, the allocations go all the way to 60%. So understand that exactly. This money's been earmarked
The
by the
bonus.
states through 27.
Mhm.
We know this money's.
Well, we that's why it's projection. So it's allocated but not guaranteed.
Okay, so they require not guaranteed, but they can't put it in.
No, it could be that the state finds the funding crisis and they could cut it.
So that, I guess that's.
SIA is in statute. High school success is not in statute. So they could cut that. So it's not guaranteed money.
Do we have any indication or clarity? It's come through, if they give you any indication,
We're in session right now, so session hasn't ended, so see that piece of it. And none of the money that we're getting in these areas is federal dollars. These aren't federal dollars, these are state dollars.
is due April 30th. So regardless, we need to plan as if we're getting it. Hopefully, I'm confident we're going to be getting somewhat in the realm of what they're saying here this 5 years. Get the money. So we can
So wise and fair. For the presentation, like, yeah. Call for motion. To approve. I don't know. Discussion? Favor? Second readings, can we do just a job? Motion to approve the second readings for 5.04 through 5.08. I know. All in favor? First reading of 5.09, revised policy IGBA student organizations. Call the motion. You. Second. Discussion. Approval. Approved. 5.10, approved resolution 5 surplus. We got freezer.
Our new freezer is up and running and it's sounds
Yeah.
so beautiful. You're not going.
No,
Shaking the district a lot.
2002 Kia van.
Yeah, man.
We
So cool.
replaced. Lonnie.
Right.
So, use what freezer. Surplus items. Good. Awesome. Let's sell some stuff. All in favor? You. So. 0.06.0, public foot. Thank you, audience, for coming today. And I make a motion to adjourn. Second that, all in favor? Let's go.